Joining us now is the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan, a nonprofit focusing on creating equitable communities and addressing the issue of poverty in our communities as well. Ryan Hertz joins us now on the MegaCast. Ryan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, as we get into this conversation, for those that aren't familiar with Lighthouse, what are some of the services that you provide in the community to help address the issues of equitable housing, but also poverty?
Sure thing. So Lighthouse is actually the result of a merger between two longstanding social service organizations in Oakland County, one called Lighthouse of Oakland County, the other called South Oakland Shelter. Both were founded to respond to emergency needs. Lighthouse originally to respond to hunger, and South Oakland Shelter to homelessness. And over several decades, both organizations developed a continuum of services ranging from emergency response, like emergency food and shelter, utility assistance, eviction prevention, all the way to affordable housing development, supportive housing, financial coaching, and other stability-focused services. So we really try to address the spectrum of need, both from the individual level as well as the community and systems level, to reduce economic disparities and help families who are really struggling in our community.
We're joined by Ryan Hertz, the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan, joining us on the Michigan MegaCast. More information on the website, lighthousemi.org. That's lighthousemi.org. Ryan, Lighthouse is now teaming up with Amazon to deliver meals also to families in Oakland County that may be in need of food assistance or maybe in need of meal delivery. Can you tell us about how that partnership began and the extent of that partnership also?
Sure. So we actually work with Amazon in a variety of ways. Amazon's been a really big part of our Adopt a Family program around the holidays, and has done all kinds of initiatives to support our mission in recent years. In this particular situation, during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, we found that there were a number of people that we were serving who were vulnerable, who we really wanted to be getting food to without them having to go out to shop, without them having to go around to different food pantries, many with very high-risk situations. And so we started a program to connect volunteers to opportunities to home deliver our emergency food boxes. And we've done that for over 2 years now, serving thousands of families in Oakland County. Actually, I believe since the beginning of the pandemic, we've served around 60,000 households with our emergency food boxes throughout our community, right around 30,000 a year. And, Amazon has connected with us in so many ways, and we approached them about using some of their delivery drivers to help us get more food out to more folks. And they've been doing that, and it's been just a beautiful partnership, and we're really grateful.
So what's been the response been so far from those that you serve through Lighthouse of Michigan to the delivery of these meal boxes with Amazon?
We actually have a partnership with a professor at Oakland University who conducted a survey of all the folks who receive our food assistance, both in terms of delivery and also through directly at our pantries and through some of our partner pantries who we provide these boxes to for distribution. And the delivery service is obviously hugely convenient for families that, both because of the current conditions around the pandemic and some of our families being high risk, also because many of the families that we serve lack access to affordable transportation options to go and access food, or maybe they live in an area that's not close by to any pantries. So we've had a lot of really positive feedback from the people that we serve around the service. The challenge is just simply that it's very difficult to scale the service, right? It's an expensive thing to do if not totally volunteer driven. And we've been really blessed that our volunteer community has really stepped up around this. And we're trying to explore ways to scale this more and make it more sustainable. And our partnership with Amazon has been a big part of that.
So recently, the Attorney General of Michigan, Dan Nessel's office, had a chance to tour your warehouse, Lighthouse Warehouse, particularly in her office's determination to bring more attention to lawmakers in our state about the efforts that are being undertaken by nonprofits across the state of Michigan. Can you talk about that tour, what you have in the warehouse, and how that warehouse helps you to provide services to people all throughout Michigan with Lighthouse of Michigan?
Sure thing. So the Attorney General actually visited 2 of our service sites. We have quite a range of different programs at different locations. She came and visited our new family emergency shelter, which I can also speak to later, and then spent some time at our primary food distribution warehouse hub. And that site essentially is the result of our ramping up of food distribution work early on in the pandemic, initially partnered with Oakland University and a variety of other partners to distribute food out of Oakland University Student Center. And then when school came back in session in the fall of 2020, we moved to a warehouse space. It's a vacant big box store at Summer Place Mall that is about 40,000 square feet of open, high bay warehouse space. And we utilize that space to bring food in much larger quantities than we'd be able to do out of our headquarters building, which was our primary pantry previous to this. We're able to accept much larger amounts of food donations. We're able to bring in much larger groups of volunteers to sort through those donations in a safe and distanced environment. And we're able to stage the distribution of those sorted food boxes that we hope will provide a family with everything they need nutritionally, so that they don't have to go around to many different locations and try to piece things together. So it's been a wonderful program, and we're really grateful that the Attorney General came out to learn more about what we're doing on a variety of fronts. We hope to be able to continue to keep this work going.
I understand too, I have in my notes from our producer, the King of Television, Larry Nyland, that you also had mattresses in some of those warehouses that were given to Ukrainian refugees. Have you been able to get those mattresses to these refugees, and if so, how helpful has it been to them in getting acclimated to Michigan in their refugee status, while of course we have the conflict going on, the war over in Ukraine?
Sure. So we double up use of that space. The primary use of that space, as I mentioned, is our emergency food distribution, but we double up use of that space because we have quite a bit of additional warehouse space co-located there for a variety of things. I'd say probably the second largest, in addition to food, would be furniture. Both for Ukrainian refugees, which is really through partnership. Others that were focused exclusively on the resettlement of Ukrainian refugees reached out to us. One of our primary values at Lighthouse is collaboration and making sure that whatever assets we have are put to the best and highest use of the community as necessary. So when partners reached out to us about that opportunity, we said, certainly not only are we willing to warehouse mattresses, but we're willing to access our partnership with Gardner White Furniture and other sources of furniture to help source it. We also have a pet food pantry located out of that location for lower income families who have pets that have a hard time at moments affording to feed their pets or have access to other supplies, and that's in partnership with the Humane Society. So we utilize that space with a variety of partners, and that's just one of them. And of course, in this moment, that's an extremely meaningful opportunity for us to support a need.
We're joined by Ryan Hertz, the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan. More information on their website, lighthousemi.org. That's lighthousemi.org. And earlier on in the year, Ryan, Lighthouse received a significant food donation from the Mormon Church in Utah. Can you talk about how big of an impact that donation, being that it was a significant donation of food, has had on those that you serve here in Michigan?
Yeah, it was a massive donation. It was wonderful. It was unexpected. It was exactly the sort of thing that needs to happen for us to continue to meet the expanding need. Early on in the pandemic, when we started to expand, we used to serve, 300 to 500 households a week out of a pantry focused in the Pontiac area and a pantry in Clarkston focused on northern Oakland County. Throughout the pandemic, we've served right around 5,000 per week. And to get there, we ramped up a really big emergency response campaign early in the pandemic. We raised over $3 million, both for our emergency food expansion work, as well as to quadruple the capacity of our emergency shelter and relocate it to a motel. And we have spent through those resources. Those resources did carry us through quite a long time, and we were able to help far more people than we've ever been able to assist in the past. And we're now in a position where we're going day by day trying to bring the resources together. And when that truck came, it was, couldn't have been better timed in terms of allowing us to be able to continue to meet that need.
Ryan, if people in Michigan would like to help your organization at this time, what are some different ways that they can through either donations, and if so, what do you need in terms of those donations, but also volunteer opportunities with Lighthouse of Michigan?
Sure. So, of course, we need donations. We ask folks if they do want to support specific areas of our work to still do so financially, while we do appreciate in-kind donations of food and other things because of the amount that we're able to access at a lower price if we purchase it in bulk. It's better for us to purchase the food directly through our partner at Gleaners, through other partners, wholesale. Your money goes further that way than if you go and purchase and then contribute food. That said, we of course accept in-kind donations. We always are in need of volunteers. If you visit our website, lighthousemi.org, there's a volunteer sign-up system that will clarify what the volunteer opportunities are on the horizon and allow you to sign up and find out more information. And we also have upcoming fundraising events that folks are very welcome to join us. We have our rent party event in Detroit at the old Stanley Kresge Mansion in East Boston, Edison, Arden Park neighborhood. We haven't had this event for a few years in person due to the pandemic. And this year we'll be having it in person, mostly outdoors, trying to accommodate everybody's needs in this complicated time. And so we would encourage folks to join us. You can visit therentparty.org to find out more. It's a big jazz concert and party outside in the neighborhood. So please feel free to join.
We're joined by Ryan Hertz. He is the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan, joining us on the Michigan MegaCast. More information on their website, lighthousemi.org. That's lighthousemi.org. And earlier, Ryan, you mentioned the family emergency shelter that your organization has as well. Can you tell us about that, and if people are in need of shelter in our communities, how they can get access to either the family emergency shelter or other shelter-related services provided by Lighthouse?
Sure. So we have a very limited number of emergency shelter beds for folks who are displaced from their homes in Oakland County. And at the beginning of the pandemic, the number of people calling us for assistance dramatically increased. And we realized that over the years, options for families had greatly diminished in Oakland County. We do have a domestic violence shelter, our partners at Haven, and we're grateful for that. But for families that are homeless, that don't necessarily qualify for those services, the only emergency shelter located in Oakland County that accepted families was the South Oakland Shelter, which was the shelter program that merged into Lighthouse. And that program serves both families and individuals based on first come, first serve. So for mid to large size families, the odds of having enough openings at any given time when a family calls are fairly small. And so what we realized during the pandemic, as the need dramatically increased and as we partnered with Oakland schools and others and realized just how many people were going without their needs being met in that population, we decided to convert one of our transitional housing buildings from a longer-term transitional housing program into a emergency shelter program. So we now have 18 apartment units specifically dedicated to emergency shelter for families. We also took that transitional housing program and we made it a transition in place program. So it still exists, it's just no longer at that site. Now we work with families in their own apartment as opposed to within our building in the community with a private landlord in the community where they want to live. And at the end of the 2-year transitional housing program, they can take over the lease and transition in place. So they don't have to move out at the end of the program. So it's really been a mutually beneficial thing for both of those programs. And we're just grateful to be able to meet that need in the community at this time.
Ryan, before we let you go, anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to keep in mind regarding your organization or other ways that they can help Lighthouse Michigan at this time?
Certainly. So, in early 2020, when the pandemic hit all of us, there was a response that I never could have imagined from our community. A recognition as everybody was struggling that there are folks who are struggling more than others. There are folks that everyone is struggling, and yet there are people in our community who have less resources to navigate this tough time. And I think that as we have moved through this challenging period over the last couple of years, I think some folks have perhaps lost sight of the reality of how the past 2 years have impacted low to mid-income families in our community. And I would just ask folks to remember that that impact is still with us, and to reach back out and re-engage with organizations like ours. We have so many folks who are so generous with their time and treasure and talent, and yet we have so much unmet need, and we really need everyone in this community, if we have a hope of achieving our mission, to be a part of that.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.